Second, because in spite of everything, Mexico still been an important country for the region, and it's an important country where what happens is taken into consideration in many other places. And also because Mexico is a huge country, and we want to have a huge constituency in Mexico. So our idea right now, we have 3,000 members supporting Amnesty International in Mexico, and our idea is in 5 years to grow to 30,000 members. Last year we were able to mobilize 1.2 million people in the context of course, the Yotzinapa crisis. And our goal is to mobilize 1% of the population each year in Mexico, so we can really have an impact. That doesn't mean that we're gonna stop doing advocacy, what we do, that we're gonna keep doing research, but we have realized that we need to improve our communication strategy in order to localize it, to give it a local taste, and to make people feel closer also to Amnesty International position. So one of the strategies we have, and we have been trying, is yes, to grow our membership. That is because it will give us political support on the field, but also it will give us financial independence. So what we want is not to depend only on one income, on one donor income, but to be independent, and also that the public feels that we're independent, and that's also very important for us. So that's the context I'm giving you. One of the strategies we're trying to do is we're trying to what we call invade the public space in Mexico. So we are each day trying more and more and more, not only to use the social networks, which are a huge public space that is available now, but also the public space in public transportation, where people do their daily life. And one thing that I always say is that one thing that we care is about the person that is walking in the street. I care that that person walking in the street cares for human rights and understand what we're doing. So that's one of the things. So having said that, why since our opinion, or from our opinion, surveys are important for human rights practitioners, and I'm going to speak to the benefits that we have a test that surveys give us doing our work on the field. First of all, there is one thing, and I'm going to speak here about Mexico. I'm going to localize this presentation to Mexico. And one of the things is that we don't have enough information about human rights violations in Mexico. If you try to see, what's the rate of torture, we have only complaints, but we know that our justice system is very efficient, that not many complaints go through, that not many people are sentenced, so we don't have that information. In the crisis of disappeared people, we don't have also precise information. We have information that some NGOs have been able to document, some information that the National Human Rights Commission has been able to gather, but we don't really know how big the problem is. And another example that we are working right now is in violence against women. Also, not many people want to file a complaint, either because they are afraid of filing a complaint and that there's going to be harsh consequences against the people that file that complaint, or because they don't trust the local system and the prosecutors. So it's why to file a claim. So in this context, surveys give us a lot of information about what the state of the art is in the country. So in the lack of official information, surveys can be very useful. And in fact, we use a lot of survey information in order to build our campaigns and our cases. In the case, for example, of violence against women, the INEGI, which is the National Institute for Statistics, has done some very good surveys, and we use those official data in order to promote what we're trying to do. And that also allows to identify patterns of violation of human rights. and we can say, okay, so what are the things that are there in the mind of people? And one of the things is, for example, arbitrary detentions is one of the things that is in the mind of people, and also we should start working in that thing. So that's one of the things we're gonna hopefully produce a report next year about that. Another example, now examples of where we have also used surveys is, for example, in torture. Globally, we in charge a global survey on torture, and one of the things that was really amazing and that has worked for us campaigning is this data that 64% of the Mexican population, or at least of the people that we survey, are afraid that if being detained by any law enforcement official would have the risk of being tortured. So for us, that was like a big chunk of information, and the media loved it. The media loved that information. They really liked it, and they kept talking about that. Another data concerning for us was that 30% of the population accepts torture as something that is useful or acceptable in certain security concern. So that also tells us we need to change public opinion in this sense, and we need to change, and we need to also speak about torture differently. And how do we speak about torture? We haven't yet figured out how to do it, but we're trying to do our best. And also another way in which surveys are important, it's in the migratory issue in Mexico. We know thousands of migrants cross Mexico. We know that thousands of them are subject of human rights violations, but we don't really know because there is no one documented in the field, especially because the migrants want to be invisible. They don't want to be traced, and so what we have there is also surveys in some of these cases. Also, why are important? What are also important surveys for us? Well, it's not news for anyone that there is scarce resources for NGOs. We only have so much amount of money and so much amount of personnel that we can have on the field. So in the case of an international, we have double our resources, but now instead of having one researcher, we have two researchers. So from Mexico. So for a country of 100 million people. So and can they, or can we expect them to document every single case of disappearance, every single case of torture, everything? No, it would be impossible. It would take a big amount of money and resources. But it's really important what they do, because it's important to have the case and to have the humanity of the situation. We can portray the case, we can portray and we can convey our message. But it's also good to have another hard data that is also important for us. And it's important to have hard data that is methodologically sound. It's very common that when we come out with some data, I couldn't say the government officials, but only the government officials, but yes, mostly the government officials, also come with the rhetoric of there is methodological inconsistencies. This wasn't done properly. There is flaws in the research. But when we can have a research and we can take something done by CIDE or by a very sound academic institution and say, well, it's official data, So you commission that survey. So what's the deal, So that is very important for us. And also, so in that way, the surveys complement the documentation of cases. And so you can have this very cold, hard data that is impressive for some kind of people and for media, and you can also have this case, and that's a campaigning strategy that has worked for us so far in Mexico, and we hope to keep working, and we hope to keep working with David for some pro bono basis. And another, I have to say, sorry, David. So one thing is it helps us measure the public perception. Sometimes we're trying to give some long shots, but just guessing on what is out there, on what we believe. And what I say often is one of the mistakes of the human rights community, at least in Mexico, is that we're a very small family and we talk to each other, but we don't really know what the people out there know or care, you know? And we feel that what we believe is what is ought to be believed by the rest of the public. And that is not true. And myself, I share the case of my parents and try to explain my parents. I say like, okay, the moment I can explain my parents and I can explain my family, that's when we're going to be successful. But for that, we need to measure and to test the public perception. We cannot only be guessing on what we think it is. And also, well, yeah, that's, I have covered that part. And also, it helps us not only to measure the public perception, but to give us strategies of how to approach this public perception. And for example, we, Amnesty International, work with a lot of marketing agencies, and that's good. And we start doing it here in Mexico. And one case is that in this strategy that we had about invading public space, we decided to hire some ads on the Metrobus, which is one public transportation here in Mexico. At the end of the day, the company that was in charge of running the publicity denied the access and like back up on the contract, arguing that it was information politically connected and that was not information that might be proper for all ages of people that would travel in public transportation. And we got really mad and we filed a lawsuit. But one of those things also gave us access to another, to one of the agencies, and the agency said, I'm going to give you this campaign pro bono. I'm not going to charge you any single dime. And we had one of the most successful campaigns in Mexico. You know, it was called Walls Against Censorship. We asked people to donate us our walls, their wall, so we campaigned it with human rights messages, and it went viral. You know, and it went viral because we were, I think, correctly advised by these agencies. So we hope to keep doing that. And the last point, which I'm going to connect with my opening, is precisely because there is a big question here in Mexico: is how do you do to break this human rights crisis? How do you do to break the impunity? You know, that's $1 million question. And we have tried advocacy. You know, we have very good legal frameworks, or at least some very advanced legal frameworks. Fine, you know, claps for the legislators. We have some very good rulings. We have even some very good rulings from the Inter-American Court of Human Rights. It's not working, you know. We have all those what I call formal tools there. But what is missing, and what we feel in Amnesty Mexico that is missing, is to connect with the people and to really increase the political cost of this. How do we do it? We don't know. We're not sure. We're trying. We're trying to measure public perception. We're trying to work with communication agencies and with everyone that would be willing to help us. So I'm very happy to be here. I'm very sad to be leaving soon, but I will collect your cards and ask you for help if you wish to help us. So that's one of the, that's I think also my presentation. Thank you.
Well, that's it for the first panel. I think we're running a little late. I don't wish to cut off the comments you made, so maybe we can take one or two comments right now and continue it over the coffee break and the lunch, and then have about 15 minutes to kind of stretch your legs and get some coffee and then come back to the second panel. What do you think? Yeah? And do we have anything taking advantage of the fact that Garcia is here, or for any of the other panels? Courtney?
Yeah, so Garcia, one of the questions is how activists, and scholars for that matter, can leverage perhaps a combination of formal mechanisms and public opinion. So it seems that right now the formal mechanisms, you mentioned the Trade Report, for example, operate in one very elite stratosphere in the sense of who knows best. So So is there a way to make access points to those federal members more active, or are they just
Well, again, I come back to my point, and I think that one of the, and that's how international human rights system is designed. The international mechanisms are meant to be subsidiary. So what we try to aim now is to make the local mechanisms work. Because, you know, even if everyone knows about the Inter-American Court of Human Rights, but it's going to be 1,000 cases before the Inter-American Court of Human Rights about Mexico. I mean, there can only be a certain amount of cases, or are you going to create 20 Inter-American courts, or, you know, that's, so we're trying to push for local institutions to work. And for us, it's important that people start putting pressure on the local institutions to work. How, we don't really know yet. And it's very easy to say, you know, you people have to mobilize, you know. And people, when I give conferences or present human rights advocacy reports, they tell me, yes, sure. So I'm afraid all the things that I've been saying. But I think that there is also, that's why I'm saying, our goal is to mobilize 1% of the population. I say, if we can mobilize 1% of the population in this country, just I don't want to mobilize more for now, just 1%, you know, we would be making a change, you know. And so I think it's more about that and more about convincing key people or start mobilizing how and to do it. So all the research you can have about that and all methodological information how to do it and how to talk to the people and make them feel something about what's happening in the country. Well, people.